Hi all, in the last video we talked about image versus container. We also went through the container lifecycle, and in the same video I showed you guys what Dockerfile looks like, which helps us create the Docker image. But in this video we will actually create that Dockerfile ourselves. Now that we are going to discuss Dockerfile in detail, let's first define what Dockerfile is. Simply put, Dockerfile is a simple text file which has instructions written on how to build a new image. One needs to put all the required instructions in the Dockerfile to get that desired image that you are looking for, and it goes layer by layer or instruction by instruction. And I will actually show you a demo on this, what layering thing I'm talking about, and how this layering can help us build this image quickly once it is built from the scratch. The actual demo will help you understand that. But before we go into the demo, I want to introduce you to what is the format of the Dockerfile and what are some of the important instructions to build a Dockerfile. Now on your screen you can see this is the format of a Dockerfile, meaning you have the instructions on the left and its argument on the right, and this is true for all the instructions that you are going to write. And you can comment things. So comment is nothing but a metadata. At times if you are adding an instructions which is let's say unique or which is specific to that container, or it could be something which we don't usually use. So in order to add that metadata, in order to add the developer comments, you can use the pound or a hash symbol and add more description about that specific instructions. Now that we know the format, let's talk about some of the important instructions. Now there are many other instructions that we have in Dockerfile, and I will take you through all those instructions maybe in the next video. But what I have listed on the screen, the 5 commands, these are the most common commands that you will see, or instruction that you will see in any Dockerfile that you open across any kind of projects. These are the basic commands that you will definitely see in any of the Dockerfile that you open, be it from GitHub. If you have your own local project or some production or your company office project, go ahead and open it. You will see these instructions for sure, because these are the basic commands that we have. In this video we are going to look at these commands, and we are using these commands. We are going to build a Dockerfile. I will show you an application which we have. It's a to-do application, and using these commands we'll build a to-do application, or we'll build a image from that, and we'll also run a container. But let's discuss in brief regarding these instructions, and during demo it will be even more clear. The first is the from instruction. A Dockerfile, the rule is that Dockerfile must begin with a from instruction. The from instruction specifies the parent image from which you are building an image. Now consider this like a ready-made foundation that you get. For example, you want to create a pizza at home. Then you have a choice to buy a pizza base from the market, and you choose to cook it your way with whatever toppings you want to add on the top, right? Similarly, you can choose what base image you want. Let me give an example. Let's say I'm creating a API server using Express.js. Then I would probably use the environment that I need is a node environment. So here if I'm writing a from, then I would, let's say, write from node:18, meaning I want my image to have Node.js environment having Node.js version 18. The next is a work dir, or you can say it as work directory. Now work directory is an instruction set, actually is an instruction which sets the current working directory for other instructions to follow. Let me explain that with an example. So for example, I have a work dir as /app. Okay, so now whatever instructions that are right after this, okay, will keep this path as a base path. Meaning, for example, now if I do, let's say if I keep work directory app, now if I copy something, I copy is a command which, and I'm going to talk about that just the next example. So copy is commands which will copy something from source to destination. Okay, so when I'm specing a destination, okay, I can say a destination is, for example, home folder. Okay, then you will see this home folder gets copied into /app, meaning inside the container you will have app folder, inside that you will have a home folder, and under that whatever source you are copying, whatever is the directory or file, that gets copied here. Okay, and one more example I will give you. So this is the importance of a work directory, where it sets the base path for whatever instruction that you write after this. It could be a run command, it could be a it could be any other command, copy command, add commands. One more example I want to give is, let's say I do work directory as app, then let's say work directory as B, or let's say B, and then I do work dir as C. Okay, and after this if I run is another instruction which we're going to talk about next. If I run a pwd, the path that it is going to print is this /app/b/c, because when we set a working directory, it was set as a base path and then app, and under that we set another directory. If this directory doesn't exist, so it will create that path under the app, because your current working directory is /app, and after this your current working directory is /app/b, and when you do working directory as C, then C will be created under this current base path. Okay, so this is regarding the work directory. Let's get back to our PPT. The next is the copy command. Copy command, very simple. You must have used if you have used Linux, you know that it copies from source to destination. But in the case of Docker, copy, when I write copy and then source and then destination. Okay, source is always going to be your host machine path. This is host machine path. Destination is going to be your container path. Let's explain this. Okay, when I say copy src, so what it is going to do is, I am going to copy src from my host machine, whatever path I am currently in on my terminal. I am going to look at, or going to copy src folder from that path into destination. Now let's say in destination, let's consider this is my working directory. Okay, when I say destination, okay, dot, okay, so it is going to copy this src folder under app/b/c. So you are going to see, if you do, let's say if you run ls here, you are going to see src under /app/b/c. That's the copy command. Next is a run command. So if you go back, we have a run command next. Now you can use these instructions to run any commands under the shell script. The default shell is configured as /bin/sh, and if you want to change it, then you have an option to do it. So for example, if I want to run any command inside a container, I will use the run instruction. So I can say, if I want to install a node module, then I can run npm I. Okay, and internally it is going to run this command on a shell script. Okay, or whatever command that you can run on a shell script, you can choose to write that command here, and by default it will be executed using /bin/sh. And if you want to change the bash or a shell, you can choose to do that. For example, if you want to use bash instead of a shell, then you can choose to run this command as well, right? You can choose to run like this. So this npm I will then be run on the bash shell instead of a /bin/sh. I hope that clears the run command. Next we are going to talk about cmd, or a command. Now this instruction is run when the container is started. Okay, now if you remember the life cycle, let me go back to that life cycle. Now if you remember, when we start a container, so before we start, container gets created and then it gets started, right? So, and you can also obviously use run command as well to straight away run, but even the run actually puts the container, first creates the container and then starts it. Okay, now cmd, in order to now see what, whenever you specify a cmd, right, for example, I have a node project, okay, which I want to start after container is started, then I can write node and then index.js. okay, sorry, I'll put this inside. Okay, so command, so cmd is a command which we need to remember that it gets executed only once when the container starts, not when the container is created, but when the container is started, when it is about to start or when it is about to be in the running state. Okay, and the one more rule is only one command is needed inside a Dockerfile. So if you choose to put different commands, so for example index1, index2, then the last command will override the other command. So the rule is that you have only one cmd that can be added into the Dockerfile. And it has, and there is this complementary thing also called entry point, which I'm going to discuss later on when I'm going to discuss different comparison between the different commands. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that right now. Let's go back to the presentation now. Okay, I think we talked about all the commands. I hope it is clear to you. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Now we want to see a Dockerfile demo. Okay, before I show you the demo, let me show you the application first. Okay, so I have a small application, to do application here. Let's run this application. Okay, let's run this application. So yeah, I think npm run dev. So npm run dev. So the application is working fine. It is it started on 3000 port. So localhost 3000. Tada. So to do application is, you can see the to do application. I can add items, for example, get groceries, play with or play with kids. Yeah, that's the task I need to remember. Yeah, so this is a simple application which we have here. Okay, it has a code and everything inside this. We'll not go into the code right now. It has a couple of routes, for example atoms. You know, you can get atoms, you can post new atoms, you can update an existing atom, you can delete an atom. Okay, so here if you look at here, you can delete, I can say edit an atom, or I can edit means marked as completed. So this is a simple application. We are going to create an image out of this specific project. Okay, let's try that now. So before you try this out, I already have a Docker extension installed. So I'm using Visual Studio here. What I would recommend is, if you are using the Visual Studio or any other maybe IntelliJ or any other IDE, look for an extension for a Dockerfile. So if you go here, okay, and if you look at the Dockerfile, you can download this Docker extension and then validate the syntax. It helps, and it has this IntelliSense also, which helps you write things, or it gives you suggestions and hints. So it will be very useful if you can install the Docker extension. Okay, now let me go ahead and create a Docker file here. So I will create a Docker file. Now, as we discussed, the first instruction has to be a from instructions. Okay, you can see the IntelliSense here. It is telling you the base image and the tag or the version. Okay, so I'm using from base image. So this is a Node.js project. Okay, so I will use node image. Let me use node:18 alpine. Okay, so I'm using the node image. If you want to look at where is this node image present, you can go to hub.docker.com. In here, let's search node 18. Okay, so you can see, let's go to node only. Okay, these are the official images. You can see Docker official images. Okay, and here I think we have 20 version also. The one we are choosing is called 18 Alpine, and there is a difference between what is Node 18 and Node Alpine. We will discuss this in the next video maybe. The Alpine is a compressed image, or it is the minimum required. So this image has a minimum required things for you to run a Node.js project, okay, or a JavaScript related project. So, but we will discuss in detail regarding Alpine and what is the full image. Okay. So let's go back. Okay. Now we have written that this is the base image that we need. Okay. Next is I want to set up a work directory. Okay, work directory is where my project is going to be placed at. Okay, so I want my project to be created at home, node, and then app. This is going to be my work directory. Okay, now whatever things I do, it will be actually whatever like copy command that I'm going to write. You can see the IntelliSense telling me, you copy your package.json. So when I write this instruction, for example, let me use this command. So when I write this package.json, what it is going to do is copy command, we know. So it is going to look at on my source path. The Docker file is here. It is going to look at in this folder where is package.json. So it is going to copy package.json and package.log.json from my source path to /, meaning this is my working directory. So it is going to copy under this specific path. Okay. But instead of copying this package.json, I want to copy everything. Okay, what we have here, and then install on this current path, working path. Okay, and node modules can be installed or can be updated on the actual container. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's say, yeah, if you look at this, the IntelliSense is so great that it is telling me that what is the next instruction that I should write. So you can see it is already telling me npm install. This is what I was going to write actually. Okay, anyway, so run npm install, and then let's see. Okay, it is telling me to expose this. We will come to expose later on. Okay, but what I want is a cmd. Okay, what I want is a cmd, meaning now once my Docker is created, right, my image is created, I want to start that container. So what is that I want to what is the command that I want to execute? Okay, so if you look at package.json, how do I run this project? Okay, so you have this dev as one of the task, okay, or a script. Okay, so what I want to do is when my container runs, so I want to run node under src. I want to run the index.js file. Okay, so this is our short and sweet Docker file, and this is what we just discussed, right? These are the most important commands, and you will see these commands across all the Docker files that you will open up, right, from today onwards. These are the minimum things, and these things could vary. So instead of, if you're running a Python project, you would probably run py. I don't remember, not able to recall like how do you install that. I think, yeah, but it could vary, but these instructions would remain same based on what kind of technology you are using. So let's now build this. Okay, so we have the sufficient things. So our base image is node, working directory is this. I want to copy everything, and then I want to install the node modules. Even though we have node modules here, I want to, let's say, update in case there are any updates, or let's consider we are building this from a CI/CD pipeline where node modules doesn't exist, right? So this instruction will help to install that node modules on the image and then actually run the Docker image. Okay, and when the container is about to start, this is what is going to get executed. Now we are going to build the Docker image. Okay, so we have this code now. Let's build this. So if you want to know how to get this, how to understand this, CLI is your best friend. So Docker build is the command that you want to run. Build an image from a Docker file. Let's go again, get into details. So Docker build --help. Okay, then you have bunch of options here. docker build and then options and then path or the URL where that the Dockerfile exists, right? So I'm going to write docker build, and then you have this -t, which is a tag, right? The format is name and the tag. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write docker build -t, like this format is same as this, right? Node and then the tag. Here I'm going to say to do app 0.0.1 as my version, and then I have to specify the path of the Dockerfile. I can choose to write -f and give the Dockerfile path, or I can use dot, meaning find the file locally. Had my file existed somewhere else, then I could have given that path as well. Okay, but right now we have the file locally, so let's use this and let's go ahead and build this now. Okay, now the process has started. What it is going to do is it is fetching this Node.js node 18 first. Okay, and on the top of that it is going to add few more instructions, right? So working directory has been set now, second command has been run. Now we are running npm install now. Okay, so it is building layer by layer, as I was telling you earlier, it is building layer by layer. Okay, and how does this help? I'll explain. Now we have these instructions. Okay, now let me add another command here, run, let's say pwd. So I added this new command here, so something has changed here. Okay, but these three instructions hasn't changed. Okay, now if I run the same command, you will see how quickly this builds, right? It did not have to build anything, right? It did not have to build or it used the earlier existing node image. Okay, and then it went through really fast, because the cache 2 was actually the step 2 was actually cached, and so was step 3. So that's why it was able to build this really fast. And let's say if you change anything afterwards, it will cache everything else. Okay, and then only try to build the other steps. So this is called layering in the Docker, and it helps you save your time. Okay, now we have the image built, right? So you can see here the image is built, everything is good here. Okay, now that we have images ready, let's go ahead and run this image. Okay, so this is the image. You can choose to use the actual name that we gave, or you can use the image ID also. So let's use docker run to do app 0.0.1. Okay, you can see the app is currently running fine. It is listening on port 3000. Let's do a new window. So I'll do localhost 3000. Oh, looks like something is wrong here. So yes, there's nothing wrong. We are doing good. Our container is working fine. So if I, let's say, open another tab, and if I now run docker ps, right? So that's the command we knew that it tells us which are the running containers. You can see this is our container. It has been up since last 48 seconds. It is able to receive the request and everything, but somehow we are not seeing it. So we are going to look into this problem in the next video. Today I wanted to discuss regarding a Dockerfile, how to create image, and give you a glimpse of running a container from the created image. Now we have achieved that. Let's solve this problem in the next video, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye.